Hi everyone, my name is Priyanka and welcome to my vlog. Today we are going to talk about how you can change around your life by practicing some simple techniques, and all you have to do is practice them for 7 days and see how your life is going to change. Now, first thing that we do whenever we wake up is we talk to ourselves as if the world is going to end, things are not going to work out for us. We speak such harsh words and we don't understand that whatever we are talking is actually coming true in our life. So you have to be very, very careful whenever you are speaking to yourself about your life. And most of us, we don't pay attention to that inner chatter that's going on in our mind. We don't. We just simply wake up and we go through that same routine every day. Agree with me that you're unable to control this mind of yours. Isn't that true? The moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, you're always fighting with your own self. Leave the world alone. You are actually fighting with your own thoughts because your thoughts are actually determining the kind of life that you're leading. So, if you're not sure how to go about in this life of yours, if you are facing a lot of troubles, if you're having an internal dialogue that's really putting you in a state of anxiety and stress, then this is a small exercise that you can do from your end and see how your life is going to change. All I'm asking you is to do this for 7 days and see small changes happening in your life. And once you do that for 7 days, I'm sure you will continue doing it for the rest of your life. But it's just a trial thing. And once we try and make sure that we are correcting or fine tuning, auto tuning our thoughts, what's going to happen is that we are going to change the way we are reacting to the world. We are going to change the internal dialogue that we've been carrying on for years, because this is a habit that you've picked on, and it's going to take a little bit of practice to actually erase the kind of thoughts that you're thinking all the time. So, the first point is always become conscious of the kind of thoughts that you're thinking. So, most of us, we are never actually in full awareness of the kind of thoughts that we are thinking. So, whenever you're waking up, make sure that you are actually paying attention to your own thought process. Now, the moment you wake up, whatever you're thinking in the first 15 minutes, write that down, because that is going to give you an actual access, direct access to what your brain is spewing about you or about the world or about your circumstances. This day is all about becoming aware of your own thinking process, because before you can alter your thought process, you have to become aware of the kind of thoughts that you're thinking, and you keep on thinking the same thoughts on a loop. It's a pattern that you have uh, created in your life. You are now habituated to thinking a certain way, and whatever you're thinking, let me tell you, most of these thoughts are not even yours. You're picking them up from your childhood, and then you keep on picking them up through your teenage years, and as an adult now you are not even aware of the kind of thoughts that you picked up throughout your life. And now it's very, very difficult for you to even change yourself. To change yourself, first you have to become aware of the kind of thoughts that you're thinking. So the first thing, as I say, on the first day is to actually write down, become aware of the kind of thoughts that you're thinking, because this is going to give you an insight into what all thoughts you've been thinking so far. Because most of these thoughts that you're thinking are actually operating on a stealth mode. You don't even know the kind of thoughts that you're thinking about your life. In fact, you're going to come across some really harsh words. You're going to, in fact, say to yourself, I cannot ever lose weight, or I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of this life, I'm not worthy of a great relationship, I'm not worthy of great people, I do not have money, I can never make money. So, all of these patterns of thoughts that you've been thinking so far are actually reflecting in your life. Because whenever you think a certain way, you actually start attracting the energies which are present in the universe towards yourself. So, if you're thinking negative thoughts, you are attracting a lot of negative energy. And if you are thinking some very positive thoughts about yourself, you will start attracting some very good opportunities. But to do that, you have to first become aware of your own thought process. So, coming on to the second point, we're always going to make sure that we are not just writing down whatever we've been thinking in the first 15 minutes of waking up. We're also going to make sure that we are now going to put one fourth of our attention onto our thoughts throughout the day. So, whenever you are feeling a certain way, let's say you're feeling depressed, you're feeling anxiety, you're feeling stressed throughout the day, what you're going to do is you're going to take out that diary and then write that thought down. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Just make sure that you do not share whatever you're writing with somebody else. So, throughout the day, you are actually going to analyze, in fact, deeply analyze whatever you are thinking. And that is because we are never alone whenever we are outside doing work. We're never alone. Inside our mind, we're always creating a pattern of thoughts. And to catch those pattern of thoughts, we have to pay attention to what we're thinking. So it's just not 15 minutes. That exercise is done. But whenever you're going through some sort of emotions, and your emotions are a telltale sign of what kind of thoughts you're feeling. So if you're feeling really sad, depressed, angry, irritated, or you're feeling stressed out because you can't handle the day, then you must write those thoughts down. And then just make sure that whenever you're writing those thoughts down, that you do not share this exercise with anybody else, because what happens most of the times to people is that they share whatever they're doing. They're so over enthusiastic about how they're going to change their life around by changing their thought process. And yes, then they go about sharing this with others. But what happens is that you're interacting with people who have not worked on themselves. You're interacting with people who do not want to work upon themselves, and they're going to tell you what a rubbish idea. You cannot change yourself by changing your thoughts. That doesn't happen. And you are just wasting your time, and they're going to plant seeds of doubt in your mind, and then you are going to skip the entire process of changing your thought process. In fact, you're going to incorporate those thoughts into your mind, and once you do that, it's going to become very, very difficult for you to get through this exercise. So, the first thing that you have to do, of course, is, as I said, write down your thoughts when you wake up, first 15 minutes of waking up. And second is to keep noting down your thoughts throughout the day. The third point is that you have to realize that your self talk is creating your outside reality, because whatever you're thinking is real in your mind, you are now bringing that forth in real life. So if you're thinking that I cannot lose weight, let me tell you, you will never lose weight, because you will end up overeating, overcompensating for the feelings that you're feeling. If you're feeling down and depressed, you're going to end up eating a lot of sugar. And that is how you will never lose weight. And then whatever you've been saying to yourself will come to fruition. So always make sure that you have an understanding that your self talk is creating your reality. And how can we get to catch that? By simply first reading whatever you've written throughout the day. You just read that and then see how much of that is coming true for the rest of your day. In fact, you're going to find that you are continuously sabotaging your life, because you have a nasty habit of speaking some really bad words in your mind and then creating that bad reality out of your mind. So now you've understood that if I am able to create this really bad reality just from my thought process, then there is a way that I can create a good reality from thinking good thoughts. Just that awareness that you are simply responsible for the life that you're leading will lead you to an edge of change, because you cannot change until unless you become aware that you are the creator of your own life, not the divine, not your parents who are troubling you, not your spouse who's troubling you, not your siblings who are troubling you, not your peers who are troubling you, not your bosses. It is you. You are the one who's creating this reality. And once you realize that you are creating your own reality by simply paying attention to your thought process, you are now ready to alter your thought process. Because until unless you actually become aware, totally become aware of your own thinking process, you will never be able to change it. Because most of us, what we do is we understand that we're thinking negative thoughts, but we do not come into understanding that these negative thoughts are creating our reality. That gap has to be bridged between understanding, yes, we are thinking negative thoughts, and yes, we are creating our own reality. And once that happens, let me tell you, a shift is going to come into your life, and that shift will actually showcase in your life. You are now going to become so aware of your thinking process that you will not going to pay attention to any negative thought that is coming into your mind, because you cannot control your thoughts. Let me tell you, the exercise here is not aiming at controlling your thought process. Actually, it's about replacing them, because the more you control your thought process, the more it's going to come into your mind, and you will never be able to actually control your thought process. The more you do it, the more it's going to create havoc in your life. So no, you cannot control your thought process, but yes, you can replace them. And that is a neat trick that you are going to learn today in this vlog of mine. So, coming on to the fourth point, once you start actually understanding that your thoughts are actually creating your reality, what you're going to do is you're going to now speak some amazing words. Remove those words that you've been saying to yourself so far. So if you're saying words like I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough, I cannot lose weight, what you're going to do is you're going to change the vocabulary, and you're going to start saying to yourself, and this usually happens on the second day, becoming aware of the kind of thoughts that we are thinking. So this is going to happen on the second day. You are now going to replace the thoughts that you've been thinking. So when you wake up, the first 15 minutes are very, very crucial for your day. And so what you're going to do is you're going to now alter the words. So far, let's say you were waking up and saying to yourself, I can never lose weight. I'm always going to look this way. What you're going to say to yourself is, I am in a great shape today, and I am ready to actually apply some great things in my life, and I am going to lose so much of weight just by making sure that I am appreciating this body of mine. Because first, you have to appreciate where you are. If you're not appreciating where you are, if you're not becoming grateful where you are, you are never going to alter your thoughts. Because to alter your thoughts, you have to stop resisting where you are. Do is, as humans, we resist our circumstances, we resist who we are, we create this gap between where we are and where we want to go. So then it's very difficult to bridge that gap. So let's say if I want to lose weight, I'm not going to say that I can never lose weight, because see the gap, how big it is. If I always use the word never, and I always say to myself it's not possible, then it's not possible, because my mind has now created this identity, and I'm sticking to that identity that I cannot do this. So now I'm going to change that identity. I'm going to say I am going to do wonders on this weight loss journey, because I appreciate where I am right now. I am in a great shape right now, even though you're not. But the mind doesn't know the difference, because it's a monkey. So far it's latched onto this thought that I'm not doing great in this body. Now you're going to say the opposite. I'm doing great in this body, and I'm now going to alter my life around by simply taking on some new things in my life. And just by saying that, see how the change is going to come, because you are going to feel some hope, you're going to feel some sort of energy. Because so far you were feeling this energy draining out of you. Now you're going to feel that energy coming back into your life. So you're going to see a lot of energy now coming back to you, because you are feeling drained, because your inner intelligence, or that divinity within you, knows that you're capable of everything. But you, as a human being, start saying these words and start creating these big gaps that you cannot fill up. And how can you actually bridge that gap? You cannot bridge that gap, because so far you've been intentionally going there and placing these words in your life. Now you're going to intentionally go there and replace those words. Whatever works for you, you use those words. Because so the fifth point is that every 2 hours, just review where you are. And how do we review where we are? We're going to see how we are feeling, because the first day we were feeling not so good, the second day we were feeling okay, okay. But by third day, if you're actually taking part in this exercise, you're going to see a shift in your energy. You'll be more energetic throughout the day because you started your day on a better note. You started with some great sentences, and because you have been continuously paying attention to your thoughts, you're going to notice some change. And that change is an indicator that you must continue doing this for the rest of your life. It is not something that you do only for 7 days and leave it. This is an ongoing process. I do it every day. Every day, I am in awareness of my thoughts. What I do is I simply keep one fourth of my attention on my thoughts. In fact, it's more than one fourth. I keep three-fourth of my attention on my thoughts and only one fourth on the outside world, because the outside world doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if someone is shouting at me, if someone is being rude to me. Let's say I go to a shop and the shopkeeper is tired and has had a rough day and he's not being nice to me. I'm not going to blame him, and I'm not going to take his energy back home. But you've been doing that. You will spend the next 20, 30 minutes or even the rest of the day complaining about the rude shopkeeper to everybody else. You are going to carry that energy back home. And that is something that you're going to now change with yourself. Do not worry about what the world is doing. Do not worry about how the world is reacting, because people have their own agendas, people have their own life that they're unable to control, their own thought process that is just brimming with hate, with lots of jealousy, with lots of anger and irritation. You cannot change the outside world. You cannot change your husbands or your wives or your parents or your siblings. You can never do that. And if you are thinking that you can do that, then probably you should take a step back and see if you are able to change yourself. See, the only change that's going to happen in your life is a change that you are creating in your life. You cannot change your circumstances, you cannot change who you are with right now, or your environment. So, let's say you have in laws that are troubling you, you cannot change them, but you can change the way you're reacting to them. And this is something that will give you a heads up. So, every time you find yourself in a situation, or you've written down in your diary, you've corrected your thoughts, life is happening to you, you are living in a real world and you are interacting with people throughout the day, and then you do not understand that you've been interacting with a lot of negative people, because so far you've never understood your own thinking process. You do not understand that you're a people pleaser, or that you spend a way lot of time valuing others rather than yourself. So this is where the mindset change is going to happen, probably on the third or the fourth day, that you're going to feel a bit of a distance between yourself and others. I'm not saying that you have to stop loving people. No. The distance is that you're going to take time reacting to people. And this distance you have to feel on its own. It's not going to come by forcing yourself to feel that distance. That distance is going to come because your mind suddenly quietened down. So far, it was so much in chaos, always talking negative, always reacting to situations. But because you start paying attention, it started replacing your thought process, started paying attention to your own thoughts, your mind quietened down. So, coming on to the sixth point, you have to review your day from first day to the seventh day. Always make sure that at the end of the day, you spend at least 5 to 6, 7 minutes just trying to understand how your day went and where all you lost your cool, or the kind of emotions that you were feeling throughout the day. So, this is going to give you an insight into how you have been changing your thought process, because the first day itself, you're not going to change your thought process. But day two, day three, day four, day five, and definitely day six, you're going to find yourself feeling a lot better. And whatever you are feeling, you can write that down to just get an idea that, it's a written word. So it's now clearly looking back at you from the pages, and you are now getting a clear idea that yes, your life is changing around. Maybe the outside circumstances have not changed, but The feelings have changed, the emotions have changed. And if you want to understand how you can let go of emotional baggage, I've done a video on that and you can go and check that out. So, this is where that change is going to matter to you, because the moment you realize a change is actually happening, you're feeling good about your life, to reinforce whatever you've been doing so far, you're not going to let it go. And that is the whole idea, that you should not let this practice go. First 7 days is, of course, a trial period where you experience a change. Once you experience that shift, you are going to actually keep on practicing it. And to understand that, review your day, review how you were going through that day, what kind of feelings you were feeling, and how you actually solve this problem of your chaotic mind, because you are actually on a problem solving spree. So you're solving a lot of problems at the same time, because you have a lot of problems in your mind, problems regarding your weight, regarding your finances, regarding your relationships. All of these problems are now going to look a little mild. They were looking a lot harsh, but now they're going to look a little mild. And this is how you can actually get an idea, simply by looking at your day. So write down. It won't take you long. It'll take you less than a minute to write down how you were feeling and less than a minute to review it. Probably most it's going to take you is 5 minutes, and then you can get an idea how you have changed from day one to day 6 or 7. And I hope you like my vlog. If you like my vlog, do like, share it, subscribe, and comment down below. And thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.